afternoon, everyone. Jonathan Davis here with Davis AutoSports. This is our DAS Stage 6 Calvary Blue. We just wrapped up this build not too long ago. This is a full-blown restoration. In addition to it being fully restored, 90% of the parts used are fully upgraded, as you obviously see here. And we'll go over most of that here in this video. This Jeep is not for sale. We did put it on our website during the building process, and somebody bought it, and we went ahead and finished it up. Just put about 300 miles on it, as we typically do when we're done building one of our XJs here, and it's getting ready to get shipped out to the new owner. Obviously finished in Toyota Calvary Blue with our DAS exclusive bronze wheels that we teamed up with Fuel. If you would like those wheels, we do have them available as well. The only Calvary Blue that I know of in existence, color came out absolutely beautiful. This video is going to be a multiple part video with different details on many different components. So we're going to start off first and foremost with the body, more specifically the paint. Huge undertaking on a full color change paint job like this. When we start off a color change, every single panel gets removed off of the Jeep. So the only thing that's left on it is the roof and the rear quarter panel. From there, every panel gets completely stripped down to either the plastic or the metal. If it's metal, it then gets primed, blocked down, primed again, blocked down, and some panels will actually receive a third prime with a third block for a perfectly smooth finish. A lot of these factory panels aren't that flat from the factory, so we actually they'll end up being nicer and more flat once we're done with them. From there, 2 stages of Calvary Blue paint, followed to 2 to 3 coats of clear coat, and then everything gets completely reassembled. We get a lot of questions on these flares, who makes them. Believe it or not, these are Bushwhacker flares. And if you buy a Bushwhacker flare, it's a black textured flare with a lot of texture. We sand them completely down smooth and refinish them, and it just gives it a nice look. We are coming out with some metal flares of our own here in 2022. So obviously, in addition to all the panels coming off, all the glass comes off, gets new glass, new trim, mirrors come off, door handles, belt moldings, everything comes completely off. And the paint on our color change, there's no tape lines anywhere on this Jeep, so the paint wraps around, even wraps around inside of this panel. All the door jambs are done, belt molding gets removed, as you see right there, can easily get snapped back on, and there's not one area that isn't refinished. And the prep work that we do on the exterior is the same amount of prep work that we do inside these door jambs. So it's just as smooth, just as a show finish on the insides as it is on the exterior. I mean, just look how smooth that paint is. And there's so much time that goes into this, just removing the door panels, all the electrical components, the glass, and then reinstalling it all. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. Same thing with the rear. Glass comes out, seals everything. Gate gets painted off of the Jeep, goes back on. Back side of the gate is all painted. Lights, of course, come out. Brackets get sanded down and repainted. Very, very thorough paint job. The cool thing about this Calvary paint, it can really change on you depending if the sun's hitting it, if it's dark out. It's a really, really cool paint. So as far as suspension, steering, wheels, brakes, tires, we'll go over all that. This is a long arm suspension setup on Fox shocks. It's a mixture of a lot of different components. We also have 1-ton steering up front, Rubicon Express Extreme Duty quick disconnect sway bar end links, forged track bar. While we're down here, if you notice the Arb Diff Covers, they're a perfect match to our DAS/fuel wheels. The entire drive line underneath this Jeep, starting with the front diff, all Yukon 456 gears in there, master rebuild, ARB air locker, front and rear for that matter, upgraded chromoly Yukon axles as you see there, upgraded brakes, rotors, calipers, pads, stainless steel brake lines, 1-ton tie rod ends, every single component as you see fully upgraded. Driveline going back to the center, upgraded front drive shaft, upgraded rear drive shaft. We rebuilt the NP231 transfer case. That's all been upgraded as well. Slip yoke eliminator, obviously. With the rear of the Jeep, we have another matching Arb diff cover that we did here, and of course 456 gears, Arb lockers, upgraded rear axles as well. We also converted the rear brakes to full rotors, pads, calipers, all disc brakes, new lines throughout, Fox suspension. Underneath this Jeep, there's nothing that is original. There's literally nothing underneath this Jeep that has remained the same. Worn 10,000 pound synthetic winch, Factor Pro Link. We did custom flush mount lighting that the client saw that we did on a previous Stage 6 build. So we went there, all LED lighting throughout. We have an Olympic top hat rack. Once again, those are our exclusive DAS wheels that we teamed up with Fuel. As you see behind that, drilled and slotted upgraded brakes. The entire exhaust has been upgraded, including the header, so from the engine back. And this thing is absolutely smooth as can be going down the road as well. For some of you guys that are just watching our videos, these rear disc brake conversions are an absolute must. We also integrated rear LED lights into the bumper, and those are hooked up to the reverse lights as well, which helps out tremendously. So carrying on to the engine bay, as you see, obviously backside of the hood painted, firewall. This is a completely brand new engine. In addition to the engine, everything cooling wise, everything inside this engine bay is essentially new. So starting with the engine itself, the iron block stays the same, but new cylinder head, crankshaft, cams, pistons, rings, rods, bearings, fully replaced engine. The cooling system is all brand new, radiator, water pump, thermostat housing, the entire AC system, new condenser, compressor, receiver dryer, evaporator, heater core. We have a Banks header system in here as well, K&N intake. We also have upgraded injectors, and yeah, so everything engine wise is new, and anything that we could upgrade that the client wanted, we went ahead and did. All new ignition system, obviously, so everything's new underneath. So the inside of a build like this follows suit as with the outside. Everything gets completely gutted. Obviously, when the doors are off from paint, they don't go back on until the inside's completely assembled. That way we're not scratching them or anything like that. But starting from the floor pans up, full dyno mat interior, all new carpet. We did our custom DAS seats as well. Customer went with a black leather with a gray Alcantara, and of course we rebuilt all the bolsters, all 8 of them, 4 per seat. We also matched the Alcantara seats with an Alcantara headliner and visors. These seats are 3-way heated seats right here. So you have a high, medium, and low. These are the toggles for the lights. We also did a custom in-house leather steering wheel. This is all done in-house, hand stitched, absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of smaller things that we do as well. So when we do the steering wheel, this gets stripped down, gets completely re-dyed. Same thing with any bezels or anything like that. WeatherTech floor liners. Another thing that we do when it comes to the seats is we redo all the brackets, so we sand those down, refinish those. You have your Arb diff lockers, your switches there. A lot of new parts go inside between window regulators, actuators, stuff like that. It's funny to do one of these videos in 20 minutes and it's 6 months to build. Same thing with the seats back here, Alcantara inserts. Another thing that we do when we do the seats is we put leather loops there to hold that. By request, Arb locker or compressor inside. We also did back pockets on these particular seats here. Once again, paint on every single component. That weather stripping comes off there. Everything's completely painted top to bottom. So if you just look how smooth the finish is, that is from our body shop, instead of just scuffing this and painting it, it gets stripped down completely. It gets primed. After the prime cures, it all gets hand sanded, every crack and crevice. And depending on how smooth that finish is, we may base coat from there. The exterior will always get 2 to 3 primes, but on the inside, we always go with at least 1 prime and block, sometimes followed with a second one. And if you just look at the fit and finish on this, you won't see that even on a factory Cherokee. It's not smooth in there. Same thing here. 90% of the screws that go back in this Jeep are all brand new screws, new hardware. Once again, if you look at this bolster right here, typically 20 years of sliding in and out of this seat. This bolster is flat with the seat, and as you see how my hand raises up, it's probably about, I would say about 2.5, 3 inches from the seat itself. So you have this bolster here, this one, and then the 2 back ones. And when you sit in our seats, the way they snug you, it's a huge difference between a factory seat. We started off on our builds like this. We always do a Alpine media center, a 7-inch screen, backup camera. The client specified, didn't want a screen in there, wanted a nice simple unit. It is Bluetooth, so we went ahead and did that for them. Also, if you guys see any, we're still test driving this thing and everything else, so has not received its final detail. So just keep that in mind. While we're actually down here at the flares, so we continue our sanding process even on the inside of the flare. These flares, when they come in, they're almost textured like this bumper, but they're plastic. So to get even the round part sanded down, the inside, this inside lip here, I mean, we really could get away with just sanding what you see here, but that wouldn't look too good if this was done and the inside wasn't done. So just in one of these flares, before we prime it, seal it and paint it and clear it, we'll probably have about 2 days with one of my guys just sanding, because you can't use a DA. It's all hand sanded and it's very, very tedious. And that's why you don't see any Jeeps out there with these painted, or if you do, they have a tendency to start flaking off and having issues because it wasn't properly prepped. So a lot of time goes into stuff that just sort of you don't really realize. Another really nice thing about getting into a Jeep like this, which you're not going to get over camera, is you have the new smell of leather, Alcantara, the Alcantara headliner, the carpet. I mean, it smells no different than getting into a brand new vehicle, because you are. That is a 295/70/17, so a little bit over 33. Plenty of room for traveling and everything else suspension wise. And I'll tell you, this Jeep with the long arm system, the 456 gears, this thing will absolutely float down the highway at 80 miles an hour, smooth as can be, with the upgraded brakes, stops like it should. Just a beautiful Jeep. If you guys have any questions about any of our future builds, or us custom building a Jeep for you, a lot of people don't realize this, but we have all those vehicles there are, for the most part, privately owned Jeeps, mostly Cherokees, some Wranglers, and some Tacomas that we're restoring for the owner. That is a service we provide. So if you have a Cherokee and you want us to give you a quote, please feel free to contact us at 855-955-3377. Thank you.